Hey guys, bringing you that new playlist, the 3 best and 3 worst exercises for each muscle group. And today I'm going to be starting off with what a lot of us beginners say is the most important muscle and is the most fun to train, which is our chest. I'm sure this is going to be a popular one. And to start it right off, I'm pretty sure as soon as I said chest, the first thing you thought of was this exercise, and that's the bench press. The bench press is king for the chest. One of the best movements you can do for your upper body. Works your triceps, your shoulders, and your chest. And I'm going to get into a little bit of the mechanics of a bench press to better explain myself and prove a point when I get to the 3 worst or even the next exercise. And that is when you're doing a bench press correctly, you should be arching, not a huge amount like a power lifter would, but if you're doing it for hypertrophy, you want to arch your back just a small margin to prevent your shoulders from being completely flat against the bench, and when you're pushing back, it doesn't hurt your shoulder in any way. So you want to be at a little bit of a arch in your back, right? So when you're arching and you're pressing out, you don't really realize this, but you're actually working what people call the lower chest. And for most people who don't know, there's actually only 2 parts of the chest, and the lower one is not a actual muscle in the chest. They just call it the lower part of the chest. There's the sternoclavicular head, and for nobody that's a science nerd like me, that means the sternum, the big bone that connects your rib cage, and the clavicle that runs from your sternum to your shoulder. It's the head that attaches across this. So it's up here, and then you have your median chest, or your middle, and that's the entire portion of anything that's not part of the sternoclavicular head. And when you're bending back like this and you're pressing out, a lot of people don't realize that you're actually hitting that lower portion of your chest. So this will come in handy. Just keep remembering that when I get to the 3 worst. But the next exercise we're going to be talking about is the incline press. And that's the sternoclavicular portion of the chest, the upper chest. And this is a very important one because most people, if not all people, have a underdeveloped upper chest because it's just a very hard muscle to get a mind muscle connection to, and it's kind of difficult to hit as hard as you can because it involves way more shoulder work. So, but if you have a good incline bench, you have a good upper chest, which means you have a filled chest, which means you have a great chest. Those are really the only 2 exercises you need, but the last one I have for the best exercises for the chest is the dumbbell press. Either the flat or the incline, they both work the best. And the reason that is because when you're doing the press, when you have a barbell, you're only able to go until the bar hits your chest, or close to if you don't have really good mobility. When you have dumbbells, you may not be able to lift as much weight, but you're able to go way, way further back than just with a barbell it stops your range of motion. And the more range of motion you have, the more fibers that are included in the push movement of any exercise, but in this push movement, the further back you're going, the more you have to press up. The more fibers you're using, the more muscle you'll break down, and the more muscle you'll build when you rebuild it. And that's the 3 best exercises for the chest, and we're getting into the 3 worst ones right now. The first one I'm going to talk about is the one I was talking about linking to the bench press, and this is the decline press or even dips. These are both 2 different exercises, so this will be included in 2, but the dips and the decline press are not good exercises because the lower chest is not a thing. And when you're doing an actual bench press, like I was saying, you arch, you already hit that lower portion of your chest because when you're at the arch, right, your arms go up and you're pushing almost in a decline. When you do an actual decline, you're pushing almost completely lateral to your body or parallel to your body, and it puts way too much strain on your shoulders. And the same goes with dips. Dips are a little bit less strainful, and dips are more for your triceps. Doesn't matter how much you lean forward, by that time you're basically just doing a push-up, and you might as well do a push-up than a dip. Dips just put way too much pressure on your wrists, your elbows, and your shoulders, and it's not worth it when you can just go do something like a bench press for another 2 sets or whatever. And the decline press does the same thing. If you're thinking about it and you're in a decline press, you're at like a 45-degree angle to the ground. When you have as much weight as you're pushing, let's say you're pushing close to 200 pounds, when you have that all forcing your elbow upward and back, it's just that's not a good thing for your shoulder. Your shoulder shouldn't have to deal with that much pressure, and that's why on a flat bench, you're arched back, you pin your shoulder blades back. Your shoulders are very stable in that position, and that's why the bench press is one of the best movements for the chest, and that's why you have to do it correctly or you'll hurt your shoulder. And the last exercise I have for the worst exercises for the chest, this isn't necessarily a bad exercise, I would say. It's more that people not they do it correctly, but they don't do it in the right aspect, and that would be cable crossovers, whether it's going up, it's going down, it's just going to the side. This is a pump movement. You do it to get blood flowing to the muscle, and you get it to get a really good mind-muscle connection, and that's great, but it's not a muscle building exercise. You can't overload on it or you will hurt your shoulder, and I've done it before. Got too big an ego, went too high, hurt my shoulder a little bit, even though it was previously injured, but it doesn't matter. It's not a muscle building hypertrophy exercise. It's just to get a good pump going. And what I recommend for this exercise is before you go and do a bench press or an incline press or whatever your pressing movement is, or any shoulder movement, do your normal warm-ups. You do you hold the weight, you move your shoulder around through all of its range of motion, whatever. Do some cable crossovers and just get a nice, really big stretch, really good contraction, really feel the chest. So when you go and do the bench, you feel your chest way more. And for beginners, this will be really good. This is a great exercise for beginners, but you don't want to do it in the aspect of thinking you're going to build muscle with it, because you're not. You just want to feel the muscle so you get a better mind-muscle connection, so you'll be able to use more muscle fibers when you're doing your actual real pushing movements like the bench press, incline, and dumbbell press. And that's all I really got. Tomorrow I'll figure out which muscle group I'm going to do, and I'll get you the 3 best and 3 worst of that one. But you know the drill. Subscribe, follow the Insta, like, comment if you have any questions, or if you have any recommendations for other exercises, or even what muscle you want to see next. And I'll see you in the next one.